What is going on, fight fans and full-time family? Leon Scott Edwards is telling Jorge Masvidal to stop being a pussy and step up and fight him. Leon Edwards is currently on a 7 or 8 fight winning streak in the UFC's welterweight division, and he was scheduled, I believe, to face Kamaru Usman before the whole COVID lockdown, which prevented him from being able to leave his country. A lot of people weren't able to come into America. This was before Fight Island was launched, and in that time, Gilbert Burns was able to stay active and win 3 fights and ultimately catapult himself into the title conversation. Now it's Gilbert Burns' title shot, and Leon Edwards is sort of left in the top contention fray, and he's calling for a fight with other top welterweight contender Jorge Masvidal. A lot of you know that these guys have a little bit of a history, with the three-piece in the soda being unleashed on Leon Edwards backstage. Leon Edwards got clipped up after he walked up on Jorge Masvidal, who was doing an interview. That's where the whole three-piece in the soda came from, and honestly, that is why I say this fight must happen. I'm a huge Masvidal fan, and I hate to see him in a fight that he could lose, because Leon Edwards is a tough matchup for anybody except for maybe Kamaru Usman. But Leon Edwards is nobody's punk. He's a tough matchup for anybody, so that is a high-risk fight. But because of the backstage incident where Masvidal put his hands on Leon Edwards, we have to see this fight. That's almost like the McGregor versus Khabib Dolly incident, where it happened backstage. Like, they had a whole fucking incident, a lot of drama backstage that catapulted into one of the highest selling pay-per-views of all time. So this incident here definitely is noteworthy, and also something that could build a large fight. That makes this fight, the magnitude for this fight, even higher. It's personal. These guys don't like each other outside the octagon. That always helps. And both of these guys are two of the best welterweights in the world. Masvidal has been on his title shot. He's been fighting Nate Diaz, fighting for the title, so it hasn't made sense for him to fight Leon Edwards up until this point, because he's been fighting multi-million-dollar fights and earning more money than he's ever been able to make in his career. So that made sense for Masvidal to do, but now that he's already fought Nate Diaz, now that he's already lost to Kamaru Usman, it may be time to come back down and start fighting some of these top contenders. He could fight Leon Edwards next. That fight would be a huge fight. And if the UFC wants it to happen, I'm sure they'll get it to happen. But also, we've got to see where Conor McGregor's at. There's been a lot of talk that Conor McGregor wants to fight Jorge Masvidal. The fact that Jorge Masvidal is one of the biggest names in the sport, perhaps the UFC wants to preserve him and give him a little bit lower risk fights because he's such a big name now. That's something that happens when you get huge stars. It's not them protecting themselves, it's the UFC looking to protect their investments. It's not Masvidal doesn't want to fight Leon Edwards, but the UFC might want him to fight McGregor, or the UFC might want him to fight Diaz again, or the UFC might want him to fight Nick Diaz. There's a lot of things that the UFC could do with Masvidal right now that would prevent this fight. But if that's not the case, man, I want to see Rocky Edwards, Leon Scott versus Game Bred Jorge Masvidal. I'm all the way in for that fight. And with that being said, man, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments and in the Discord. Link is in the description. I'm out.